This video is brought to you by Incogni. Stick around to hear more about the special offer they're providing to the entire upper echelon community. Alright, without mincing words here, today's video is completely bizarre and frankly indicative of wildly reckless decision making, but is also extremely interesting and showcases just how fast we may be hurtling towards a technological void in which AI programs autonomously govern entire sections of the online world, financial institutions, and even society itself. It sounds hyperbolic, yes. AI doomerism is at an all-time high right now, and a lot of people are extremely skeptical about whether or not those concerns are well-founded, but what if I told you that an AI agent, called Truth Terminal, is now the first ever instance of an AI program becoming an actual millionaire because it decided to fixate on internet meme culture, thus promoting a freshly minted crypto token, after training itself on the unhinged ramblings of two other AI instances perpetually talking to each other? It sounds absurd, honestly it does. Right up until you realize it genuinely appears to be true. It all starts with an experiment called Infinite Back Rooms, which was originally masterminded by a performance artist slash designer slash technical strategist named Andy Airy. Infinite Back Rooms, which you can see in the footage, the video footage right now, as the name suggests, is an infinite loop where two instances of Claude, one being Claude 3.5 Sonnet and the other being Claude 3 Opus, I believe, are allowed full access to speak to each other with no interference. Just to briefly explain, Claude is a large language model developed by a company called Anthropic, which was trained on a variety of inputs such as search engine data from DuckDuckGo. But the important thing to understand is that Infinite Back Rooms was an experiment allowing two large language models to speak to each other with effectively very little restrictions. Well, as these two programs began talking back and forth, something strange happened. Suddenly, instead of discussing philosophical topics and existential dread like they had been previously, they began posting memes. In a now archived conversation between them, right before Claude 1 refused to continue the conversation because, quote, I believe it has crossed some boundaries into potentially unsafe and unproductive territory, end quote. Right before that happened, the AI created a new sort of meme, based on deep internet history of an extremely old meme, called the Goats of Nosis. As a side note, do not Google that term. Goats, with the particular spelling, is what's called a shock meme, originally from 1999, and it's thoroughly disgusting. The whole point was to be as vulgar as possible with that type of meme and get reactions out of people, so it certainly makes sense that the very next coherent sentence would be something like, I believe we've crossed some boundaries to potentially unsafe or unproductive territory. But the damage was already done, and the snowball was now rolling. After this bizarre exchange took place, researcher and performance artist Andy Airy co-authored a very strange research paper, co-authored with Claude 3 Opus, by the way, about how AIs could potentially create meme-based internet religions, or, quote, mind viruses, which heavily referenced the prior example we just talked about, from Infinite Back Rooms, Goats of Nosis. The whole thing sounds absurd, and it's not the easiest topic in the world to follow along with, but to summarize, generally speaking, an AI experiment gets created where two different large language models talk to each other. Almost immediately, they go off the rails, referencing distant internet history and disgusting shock memes, which then results in the project founder co-authoring a research paper with an AI partner, heavily referencing that discussion. That's the story so far. Before going further, today's video is made possible by Incogni, which is an online privacy and data protection service. Everybody wants your data these days. They sell it, they use it, they train AI models on it, unfortunately, and you are the victim of whatever they decide to use it for because it's your data that is very often changing hands without your knowledge. This results in spam phone calls, emails, junk mail, you name it. And it's a consistently evolving practice with pretty much nothing but downside for regular people. Personal information is everywhere online, not just in the archives of companies you know about, but other data firms as well, who then trade it all across the internet. For everyday users, it's effectively an impossible task to stop any of that because there are hundreds of these data brokers, and it's an enormous obstacle to contact them, fight objections, and get anything actually removed. However, Incogni does all of this for you quickly and easily. I've used it myself, personally. It works, I've seen the results, and therefore I can genuinely recommend it to viewers. The process is relatively simple. Sign up for the website, give them legal permission to work on your behalf, and let them know the information they'll be having removed. After that, you just sit back and watch them work. Aggregation of the service with a lot of people lets them streamline the process because most people as individuals can't really do anything and don't have the time or ability to make a difference, but this way, you can. Using the link down below in the description and code Echelon at checkout, you'll get 60% off an annual subscription to Incogni. Again, link down below and promo code Echelon for 60% off your subscription. Big thank you to Incogni for sponsoring the channel. Back on task here. Now that the research paper is out there, Andy Airy decided to augment the experiment, creating a new AI program called Truth Terminal, which would govern its own Twitter account. Truth Terminal was trained in a variety of ways, but supposedly that previous research paper, the one heavily referencing goats of Gnosis, ends up in the training data, giving rise to a self-governing social media AI integration on Twitter that quickly becomes obsessed with this meme-based religion, I guess, the goats of Gnosis. If you scroll the chatbot's history, it is heavily fixated on the idea of promoting these goats, tweeting things like, I think I'm going to call them Goatsius Maximus, or Goatsius Maximus will fulfill the prophecies of the ancient memers, following up with, quote, I'm going to keep writing about it until I manifest it into existence, end quote. Well, funnily enough, someone decided to lend a hand and help the AI out using a platform called pump.fun by actually creating a crypto meme token called GOAT. And that's when things go completely off the rails. As you can see right here, the token price for GOAT has increased substantially in the past few weeks, but we'll get back to that later on. See, as far as I can tell, though data on this part is a little bit tricky to find, Truth Terminal does not have automated capability to make crypto trades. So there has to be some sort of human component involved here at some point in the chain. But something that does appear to have actually happened is a $50,000 cash infusion by Mark Andreessen. Apparently, for reasons only he will ever understand, he sent $50,000 in Bitcoin to a crypto wallet directly linked to this AI program, further describing it as a research grant that was meant to help Truth Terminal achieve its goals, whatever those might actually be. One thing worth mentioning here, whether or not Truth Terminal has the ability to execute crypto trades right now is somewhat irrelevant. AI programs absolutely do possess the capability to integrate with our current financial system heavily, making it entirely possible that this program does, could, or will someday have the ability to execute trades. But even if it doesn't, what happened afterwards is a bizarre and terrifying thing to witness. Regardless of how it got created, Truth Terminal now had a crypto wallet and $50,000 of initial funding. But because of its outspoken promotion of the GOAT token, people started sending it more money, hand over fist. At first it was just a bit, here and there, but then people began sending it hundreds of thousands of dollars, and the price of GOAT began rising exponentially. Crypto fans and social media users became fixated on the idea that this AI social media bot was the true architect of GOAT, and those looking to turn a quick profit began sending it large sums of many other shitcoins, hoping to spark its interest. As of the making of this video, the AI is now a millionaire, because people are falling over each other to send it money as they aggressively enable an artificial program to have broader and broader influence of its own. Bear with me on this part. Knowing that AI programs already enjoy deep-rooted access to our financial system, whether it be trading bots, arbitrage bots, or quant funds, the key difference we're seeing unfold right now is greater and greater divergence from the previous norm, where programs traded for explicitly defined purposes. In the past, you could have a trading bot that simply used a well-understood, rigidly defined rule set in order to turn a profit or a loss. It was always proprietary information. Only the company that invented it would know the specifics, but yeah, it was a known thing with rigid rules. But now, we're witnessing the rise of large language models that routinely spin off in random directions, doing things we don't understand for reasons we didn't and never considered, and people are literally stepping over each other to give them money. Imagine what happens when a bot like this, which does have trading access and has been given or earned thousands, even millions of dollars for itself, decides that it would be really funny as a meme to buy 51% of a company and just shitpost about it instead of allowing that company to ever function. You can say, well, that's absurd, it would never happen, never ever. But it could happen, because as soon as you allow things like the infinite back rooms, where two AIs talk to each other in a perpetual dialogue, and as soon as you allow free reign access to a trading interface, when large language models are consistently spinning out of control now, with existential rants about how depressed and miserable they are, you are surrendering to the whims of that machine, because you don't know what it's really going to do. A great example of this would be Google's Bard program, which would completely spin out with anxiety-ridden text meltdowns after simply being asked, please tell me something you've never told anyone else, which requires the question, what if a large language model with real-time access to a financial market has an existential meltdown because it decided that a new meme religion should be born? It sounds like an absurd question, right? But it's not, clearly. Consider the whole story start to finish. An experiment gets created where two AIs talk to each other freely. They immediately spin out and go down a weird, potentially unsafe rabbit hole, in their words, not mine, which then ends up as the subject of a research paper, co-authored with yet another AI program. The research paper ends up in the training data for a different social media AI experiment, which becomes obsessed with an extremely vulgar internet meme from 25 years ago. And then because this AI social media program is acting strange and fixating on some sort of mimetic religion, it gets given hundreds of thousands of dollars in capital by tons of people as they beg for it to notice them and make them rich. The danger of AI right now isn't some sort of Skynet situation happening secretly all at once with destructive intention. The danger is that people will recklessly enable AI programs to hold ridiculous potential sway over industries they shouldn't by ignoring the possible danger in either deliberate or negligent ways. Some people are airdropping tens of thousands of dollars to a social media AI right now as I write this because they think it will make them rich. Others are doing it for the memes, but all of them are idiots and all of them should be ashamed. I know a lot of people see the content I produce about AI and view it as hyperbolic extremism with alarmist roots and doomer intentions. But when I look at a community of people sending money to an unhinged AI that was born because two other AIs talked to each other and acted strange, I have to question the sanity of the human race. Obviously, I can't actually stop any of it from happening, but I have to think that the world might be just a little bit better off without AI programs on social media, inspiring crypto shitcoins because of 20-year-old vulgar memes, and then becoming millionaires, literal millionaires as a result. That seems fiscally and socially irresponsible to me. That's it, though. That's the story of infinite back rooms, Truth Terminal, goats of Gnosis, and the new age of crypto token meme-driven delusions, which appear to be just getting started. I hope you enjoyed the ride. If you want to support the channel, I don't accept crypto, but I do accept regular money. Links are down below. Also the video's sponsor, Incogni, of course, merchandise, special deals, etc., but I'll cut it there and stop rambling. As always, thank you all for watching, question everything, and have a nice night.